Summer. Okay, so those of you that are listening from the public, at this time I am going to mute your lines and they will reopen at times where we will call a public hearing. And for those council members that are calling in, as soon as I mute everyone's lines, you can unmute yourself.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Ready, Mayor?
Ready?
Mayor, I'd like to call to order the work session meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for July 9th, 2020 to order at 7:01 p.m. On roll call, council members Fasolo.
Here.
Golobeck.
Here.
Ingui. Here. Pellegrin.
Here.
Wetchler. Here. Council President Balistreri.
Here.
Mayor Coletti.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Erin. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, Mr. Fasola is not visible, but he is with us via the telephone. Welcome, everybody. There's been some concern about recently of this building reopening regarding the governor's lifting of the restrictions, but we've had a pretty stellar record here in terms of cases. There's not one that has come out of this building. And with that said, we made some decisions to open the building comes August, and that's based on the fact that, once again, the less communicating we do, the less fear we have of the virus spreading. So that's our reasoning, and that's why we're erring on the side of caution. Let's get started. Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey require, at the commencement of every meeting, a statement of compliance be read by the presiding officer. Now, therefore be advised that meeting's requirements for this meeting have been met by publishing an annual notice in the Record and Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk, as well as in a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Notice was posted on January 8th, 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is being videotaped and will be available on the borough's website at www.elmwoodparknj.us. Mrs. Delaney.
Please note that due to precautionary measures to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, we have a conference call set up for the public to call as a means of participating in tonight's meeting. For the public's information and record, the public's lines will be muted except for when we open the meeting up for public hearing portions. We thank you in advance for your patience during the operation of tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Erin. May I have a motion to open to the public for comment?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Mrs. Delaney, will you please open the lines?
Before I open the lines, Mayor, we do have some questions that were submitted via email that I will read into the record first.
Do you want us to answer them as you're going?
For the first one, which was submitted by Mr. Freitag of Hillman Drive, there are 6 questions, so we could answer each one as I read.
Very good.
The first one being progress of the high school tennis court project.
Jeff, we just received notice today, as a matter of fact, a couple hours ago, that the contractor has fulfilled his duties in reference to leveling as best as he sees fit and thinks is correct. And what we'll do at this point, we will flood the courts and we will see if we're getting the drainage we needed. Typically, we have not prior. So that's the latest on that subject.
Progress of the Tuella Avenue water main project and the expected date of completion.
Mr. Foligno.
So the contractor was on site today.
Mike was on now.
Sorry, the contractor was on site today doing some boring samples. The project has officially begun based on that, and we don't have an end date yet. We will follow up with him early next week to find out if he can give us some kind of a status update.
Why is the spray park not in operation?
So the recreation director consulted with me on this when they decided to open camp. The reason it's not open is because the campers would want to use it, and if the campers use the spray park, it's difficult for them to change out of their wet clothes and bathing suits and be able to socially distance at the same time. So for that reason, the spray park is closed. It's also difficult in that environment to socially distance even the general public because it's a confined space, and you would have to limit the amount of people that are in there. So we felt, upon her recommendation, that the best thing for this season, at least for now, we would keep it closed.
And if I may tack on to that, this is a killer, not being able to use that in this heat. We know that's basically the only form of keeping our children cool in the summertime, but we have to adhere to what makes sense here. Tough judgments, tough judgments. Absolutely.
So through the community policing division, as well as one of our volunteer firefighters, we are exploring the option of having some sort of a wet down day with maybe some water sports or something on Borough Field where the area is larger, and we could provide a day for some of our younger residents. That's in the works.
That sounds interesting. Huh? Yeah, everybody's happy about that one. Okay. Mrs. Delaney.
Regarding the current and former Memorial High School students who made statements and claims at the June 4th, 2020 meeting, has the appointed committee met and have allegations been referred to the EPPD and/or the EPBOE?
We're going to keep you very busy tonight, Mr. Foligno.
So regarding the police department, an investigation was conducted and has been closed out. I cannot speak on that. It's a confidential investigation. I'm sorry, I missed the rest of that question.
Has the committee met?
No, the committee has not met.
Thank you, Mr. Foligno.
Continuing on, at the 6/18/20 Mayor and Council meeting, I asked questions regarding the disposal of the EP Ambulance Corp. Bubble top vehicle, and it was unclear as to what happened to that vehicle. Mayor Coletti seemed to be unsure, and Borough Attorney Ingraffia intervened and said he thought it was given to the Saddlebrook Ambulance Corps as it was promised to them. I questioned the authority of an individual to do this, as it was purchased with tax dollars and may be utilized by one of the departments or entities of the borough. As far as I understand, when property like this is deemed as no longer of use to the borough, a formal action must be taken by the mayor and council and disposed of, as 40A 12-13 states. Please advise.
Mayor Coletti is still confused on this item. I know we're negotiating with the ambulance corps in reference to getting things back. I think it's a work in progress yet. That's how I feel at this point. Mr. Foligno.
Yes, you are correct, Mayor. There is still one piece of the property there that they have some personal items in that they have not turned over to the borough, and we're okay with that. We're trying to work with them as best we can. We understand their dilemma, and we have been patient. This item is also in question, and we will explore options on trying to reacquire that vehicle if that's possible. But it's still being considered, and we'll have more information hopefully by our next meeting.
Mrs. Delaney?
And lastly, progress and status of the library.
The library, the chief administrator, or chiefy like I like to call him, and we paid a visit there last week. I believe it was Wednesday. We did our walking around that we typically do. The contractor met us, and I would say legitimately certain items are being held up because of the virus in terms of product and applications, and I think he was waiting on a final okay on the water line. Make a long story short, I cornered him and I said, okay, I'm looking for a day of completion here. And don't give me something that is not going to be close or factual. He had said to Mike and I that middle of September, it should be a done deal. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Okay, moving on, we also have public comments submitted from Mr. Dominic Scalcione of East 54th Street. Good evening, Mayor Coletti. I would like to thank Mayor Coletti and the council for their exemplary service to our community during these challenging and difficult times. I'm questioning why the all-purpose room was selected as the location for Tuesday's primary election when that location appears to have been in violation of the governor's executive order, which stated that in-person voting was to be carried out observing rules for social distancing. Unaffiliated voters who did not file for an absentee ballot by June 30th had to vote in person. As anyone could have anticipated, voters queued up in the room entrance and voters leaving would pass within 1 to 2 feet of each other. I visited the location at around 7 p.m. and that is exactly what I observed. A half dozen voters were queued up in the room entrance. Voters leaving through the narrow passageway came within feet of those waiting in line. When planning for the primary election, did Elmwood Park receive an exemption from the governor's order on social distancing? Were no other locations available, such as the council chambers? Sincerely, Dominic Scalcione.
Would you like to elaborate on that, Mrs. Delaney?
Sure. So, Mr. Scalcione, as I'm sure you know, the borough has 8 polling locations, and we had to select. We thought it was easier to select one of the already 8 suggested polling places that I submitted back in March because of the familiarity of the borough residents. It's currently one of the only running buildings at this time, so we also did not have to collaborate with another entity to open the building, and voting was primarily for disabled voters because of the accessible ground level and bathroom, which is in full compliance for disabled voters. Some of our polling locations do not have compliance with our bathrooms and are therefore not open to the public. We felt that it was a great selection. Thanks to our traffic division in the police department, they measured and placed line tapings 6 feet apart for those waiting to vote that day, whether it was disabled voters or those voting provisionally. We had a poll worker manning the door and letting individuals into the building and advising those that were arriving for court that the building is currently closed for those that were here for court. It is fully air conditioned, and we also required that people entering the building wear masks. So everyone that came in to vote was wearing a mask when that was only encouraged by the governor's order. So although there may have been times where people did pass each other, I think personally that would have been unavoidable at other polling locations as well. But everyone, had their masks. We had hand sanitizer and gloves and wipes for all of those that entered the building.
Thank you for that explanation. And moving forward? Anyone else care to speak out
At this
there?
time, I will unmute the public's lines.
Participants are muted. All participants are unmuted.
Does anyone else wish to speak at this time? Please state your name and address for the record.
Anyone else care to speak?
Yes. Can you hear me? This is Dominic Scalcione.
How are you, Dominic?
Are you able? I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Fine, fine.
I had just 2 comments. My address is 120 East 54th Street. The first is regarding Bergen County Executive Jim Tedesco posted about the startup of the Bergen County CARES Municipal Assistance and Small Business Assistance Program. I believe he said it was to start up in about a week. And I wondered if you might be discussing some of the issues regarding compensation to the borough tonight. And I also wondered if it's at all possible for Elmwood Park to put something on their website directing businesses or informing businesses that the program is available. And it did say that there were certain preferences would be given, I believe, to businesses that have not already received any kind of assistance. And my second comment is about the food drive tomorrow. And I just wondered, is there some way that we could make I guess at this point, a dollar contribution, and who actually contributed and is running that program? Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Okay. Erin?
Mr. Scalzione, I can briefly touch on the actual food distribution event for tomorrow. So it is being run through an organization called Strangers Helping Strangers that has been helping residents all throughout Bergen County. But I firsthand know the food distributions that they've been assisting with in Garfield. So it is strictly a food distribution tomorrow. However, you can directly reach out to Chris Brach, who is the founder of Strangers Helping Strangers, if you want to make any monetary donations or food supply donations, and I could provide you with their contact information.
Thank you, Erin.
You're welcome.
Anyone else care to speak?
Excuse me, Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Hillman Drive. I'd like to thank you for the answers to the questions. And if this could be passed on, I guess Mr. Scalzione is listening right now. I know earlier on Facebook it said that Mr. Tony Brach would be live talking about this food distribution program on Facebook at 7 o'clock. Kind of conflicts with your meeting, but if anyone wants to see that, I know I didn't look it up now, but that's what he said earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Mayor, can I just make a quick comment? I think we overlooked Mr. Scalzione's first comment about putting that grant from the county on the borough website. I think that's something we should do.
I agree.
I could do that tomorrow, Mayor.
Yeah. I think she was going to do it anyhow, because I was picking it up
Yeah, but he has to hear it from us.
through osmosis. I was picking it up.
I put a star next to that. So.
All right, then. We'll get it in there. Anyone else care to speak? Going once, going twice. If nobody else cares to speak, I will close the public portion. Mrs. Delaney?
Okay, at this time, I'm going to mute the public's lines. Again, Councilman Fasolo, you will need to unmute yourself.
All participants are
We go to work.
muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Okay, Mayor, first on the agenda this evening was supposed to be a presentation from our borough planner and master planner topology. Unfortunately, on the way here, Mr. Colley got into a car accident, so this will currently be postponed, and our thoughts are with him. So moving on, we have our engineers report, and before actually, Mr. Clemente is here with us this evening, so if you want to join us up on the dais. But before he reviews the monthly memo, I have two items that I added onto the agenda. 1A is the 2018 CDBG change order number 1 and current estimate number 2 on the agenda for your approval for next week's meeting. I do just want to note that with change order number 1, in the amount of $15,860.40. We do not have enough money in our bond. Currently on our bond left, we have $7,834. So we have just about $8,000 over what's currently on our bond. And what our CFO, Roy Rigatano, suggested is just paying for that via resolution out of the Recreation Trust Fund. So as long as there's no questions or concerns.
Recreation Trust Fund?
That is what our CFO had recommended.
That's his recommendation.
Erin, this is for 1A.
Correct.
Chief, can you circle back with that tomorrow? Yes, I will. Thank you.
You may have just misspoke.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed. I just want to make sure that it's
Mhm.
Okay? We're going to get a clarification on that, Council. Okay.
So aside from that clarification, it's good to go, correct? Okay. And then item number 2 is the current 2019 road program change order number 1 and current estimate number 2. And just a kind note that we do have enough on the bond for the change order number 1 on this estimate. So, because the project's not complete yet, we don't know. But that would otherwise be a good idea. Mhm. Okay, now I'll turn it over to you, John. What you'll have to do is turn that microphone on until you see that it's red, and then we'll all have to turn our microphones off so that we could, and you have to really talk clearly and into the mic.
Okay. All right, this is the status of the active municipal projects in Elmwood Park, starting with number 1. And a lot of these have been held up because of the state regulations of COVID-19. This is one of them. It's head wall at the intersection of Linwood Avenue and River Drive. We were expecting the Bergen County Engineering Department to get back to us on this and with an agreement, and we have not heard from them. Number 2, traffic signal warrant at River Road and River Drive intersection. A survey has been procured from the site, or for the site, from a previous survey, and we are using this to continue with this project. Number 3.
Excuse me, John, that's the light by the Twisted Elm on the,
River Road,
yeah.
yes.
I
Yes.
recall back in 16, we were talking about this. Is there anything that we're not doing that we should be doing to push it along?
No, it's in there.
It's in their hands?
It's in Bergen County's, yeah, they're the lead
Okay.
on this.
Maybe,
They have to supply a traffic signal for that.
maybe, Mike, when we visit them again, we could put some fire under their backsides. Yeah. Either or, right? I'm sorry, John.
It's okay. Number 3 is the Rosemont Park improvements. We're awaiting further instruction from the borough of any additional changes.
So can I just interject? So
Go ahead.
the thing we talked about with the rec trust, it looks like there's two documents combined here. If you look at the last page of 1A, I think why he said it's rec trust is because the change order is for something in one of the parks. You look at that last document. So I think somehow the Summit, First and Second and Third Street situation got combined with something from one of the parks.
Because of the trees, or what?
Yeah, it looks like there's a change order for some removal of trees and something else for a surface course. That's, I believe, what Mr. Rigatano was referring to, and somehow these documents got combined. So nevertheless, it still needs clarification. I'm assuming that from what I'm looking at, but I'll still follow up with it. I said that because John was talking about Rosemont.
That makes sense, Mike.
Sorry, John.
Continuing with the
I have a comment on Rosemont Park. Chief, can you inquire with our rec director as to the timeline of the playground installation?
Yes.
When I spoke to her a month or two ago,
About 6 weeks.
yeah, it was like late August, early September.
Yeah.
So I just want to know whether we're on a schedule or we're not.
So my question was,
Yeah.
when it starts.
Okay, I think we've completed the Rosemont Park improvements questions. 4 is the sewage force main under the Market Street Bridge over the Passaic River. We have not heard from the borough on this matter. No change since the last report. Memorial High School tennis courts.
Is this about who's responsible for changing the fourth main under that bridge?
Yes.
I think from last meeting we had, there was a question about who was responsible for that.
The borough is responsible for that.
The borough.
The borough is responsible for it?
Yes.
Was that a follow-through? Because we assumed we were
Because
responsible.
that was the question we had last meeting, who was
Right.
responsible.
Right. And the question came up, if there's talk about them taking that bridge down and putting it back up again. If we replace the line ourselves, if in fact, when they destroy the bridge, we're going to have to pay them again to put the pipe in there?
Exactly.
Well, that is if it's corrected while it's under the bridge. If we take it from under the bridge and put it under the river, bore it under the river, then we're done. Borough would be complete, and there would not be any further costs for the force main, even when the bridge is taken down.
And what are the difficulties and costs that accompany going under the river?
Well, we've estimated the river crossing to be in the ballpark of about $2.5 million. Now, to correct the force main on the bridge, it would be about $250,000. Now, that money would be kind of wasted, because when the bridge gets torn down, we'd have to relocate that that sewage main off the bridge. So
We'd have to?
you would have to.
They wouldn't allow us to put it back under the new
Not
bridge?
to my knowledge. No, they want everything off the bridge, as far as we know. They do not want any utilities any further
Sal?
on the bridge.
I am, last time this issue came up, I am in the process of reviewing and researching the potential liability of the county or the state with regards to any removal of the pipe, whether it be their responsibility or ours. And I'm still working on it, because it's not something that just has happened anywhere. This is an unusual circumstance. But in many other states, at times where either a state or a not a municipality is doing something at
He can't,
times.
Sal, Mr. Fasolo can't hear you. Do you have a mic by you?
All right, I'm in the process of researching from the last time this issue. It's not something that you find easily with it, because it's complex. Not too many bridges have the pipes or lines going through it. There are some cases out of state which have discussed with addressing utility lines going through over a bridge, and then the bridge is knocked down or replaced. At times, depending on the circumstance, or what the reason of the bridge change is, or whether it's because of a structural aspect or not, it becomes the burden of either the county, the state, or whoever is doing the changing of the bridge. And whoever is doing that will be then responsible to replace what was actually attached to the bridge.
That
In New
makes
Jersey,
sense.
there is no such things that I could find of law. I'm still looking to see if there's other aspects about it, whether it would be either a phone line or utility line or so forth, that the state has been involved with changing in bridges. But there's not too many bridges in the state of New Jersey that have any pipes or connections or utilization of a municipality. So I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
If I would think by the next meeting, I'll see if I can get some answer, a little bit more definite answer, that I could say, look, weighing the potential costs of removing it. If you remove it now, then you're responsible for putting it back up.
I don't think so. They won't
Well,
want it. They won't want
well,
it.
this is where the problem comes.
But-
Right now, you have a situation, you see, again, it's a legal issue, which you have a situation where they're saying, we're going to knock the bridge down, it's going to be your problem, and I don't think that that's where it's going to end up.
I agree
And
100% with you.
I think there's, although there may not be anything right now in the state of New Jersey relating to that kind of situation, I think that potentially a discussion and raising the issue of a potential lawsuit may wake them up a little bit, and at least come to a point where they can negotiate something.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wait, John. If they're going to initiate destroying the bridge and putting a new bridge up, that pipe should be on their dime, because they're initiating it. Make sense?
That's what I think, Mayor, that's why I asked.
Right.
Well,
So, and,
Take it down,
equitably,
50,000.
equitably,
Back up and then we have something.
if you're looking at with common sense, and you're looking at an equitable aspect, And I think under the circumstances, it would probably be the equity court that would probably determine
Right.
who's liable or not.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Right.
But not, in reality, does law always work to that aspect? Sometimes case law does not make sense, and that's where I'm trying to
We'll
get
keep
to the
appealing
point.
it. We don't have the $2.5 million, you could tell us.
Well, I can tell you, if you start a lawsuit, what you're doing is you're causing them a heartache, because it's not gonna be easy. Just let me finish. That's strategy, so I can discuss that with you in
At
a
another
closed
time.
session.
Go ahead, John, I'm sorry.
There's a large gas main that also goes across that.
Oh, those-
There you
Now,
go. There's my point.
There's a good reason for, yeah.
There's my point.
Tell them we love the bridge the way it is, and we're going to keep patching the holes in the pipes with Band-Aids, and we're just so happy with it, that's all.
Mayor, I just want you to understand, Mr.
Go ahead.
I just want you to understand that there's always a way of discussing and trying to resolve an issue. And I think the more simple approach is to meet with them and say, hey, look, let's talk about it. And I think under those circumstances, I think I can help out, and I'm pretty convincing at times, I think, and
Okay.
I could potentially have them do something.
He said,
You may
he's,
wanna see
John's
what-
smiling.
You may want to see what the gas company says too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we get them both
Have a double
together.
argument there.
You may
Yeah.
have us working
Yeah.
together with the public school.
Your next conversation with them,
There,
if you would please start off like this, they're broke, they got no money,
no,
and then we'll take it from that point.
Mayor, they're not insisting.
Go ahead.
It's the environmental agency, the DEP, that's going to be maybe hounding you for allowing sewage to get into the river.
Mhm.
And that's the reason for all of this.
All right,
Bergen County doesn't care, basically, what's done at this point. See, not pressing any issue here,
all right,
okay?
okay,
Mayor, can I make a comment, please?
absolutely.
Since I joined the council in 2017, the council has more or less had this same conversation, the same 7-minute conversation, like every other month. Which is not to say that, I'm not using that anyway, but, I think let's create a game plan and then present it, because more or less, if you think back, we kind of have the same conversation every month on this subject.
Yeah. Well, there's an old cliche that he who wants to deal the most ends up with the least. So it depends how you approach this. If we just lay back and let them force the issue, seems to me they take that bridge down, everything on that bridge has got to be replaced.
That would be my argument.
So,
They could, I was going to say,
any more comments on this? Because Daniel's getting frustrated, he doesn't want this to go into
Let me,
2021.
My point is that we discuss it, and then we discuss, like, the only progress in this whole situation is the council discussing it every few months. And I'm just saying that the in-between, we need to fill in the in-between, when we go home, that we need something solid from the county or something, we need, a game plan.
Can we conclude on this? Let's let them make the next move.
Absolutely.
can I make a suggestion, Mayor, Council?
Absolutely.
If I could, John, can give me a lead or a contact, I'd be happy to call them, speak to them on the phone, explain the circumstances, the financial situation of the municipality, try to see where they're coming from. And then, like anything else, you keep your threat under your sleeve. If I have to, then I will threat. And let's take it.
Is everybody in agreement with that?
you may
Okay.
also want to contact,
All right, John, you wanted to add, and then we can move on?
get together.
John,
Also
you-
say that they may insist on, even if they replace the bridge, a separate utility bridge that could go alongside the
Tell-
new bridge, just
Yeah.
to carry the gas and the sewage mains.
listen, whatever they want to build for us, we're happy to take from them.
Not
Well,
to, not to
we will
say
be-
they'll do it for you.
We will be gracious to them, and
It's a matter of trying to see how convincing one.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's right.
I know what we're up against, but I'd like to go in with the attitude as, We're very happy. We love that bridge. We love the way it looks. We love its architectural.
But I think Dan's got a good point. Make a plan up, with some options, and then,
You have to,
that approach, yeah, that's right.
You have to approach it, and you just can't sit back and.
I'm not
We could-
suggesting spending $2.5 million.
No,
But, we like to talk about this on the council level.
Okay,
but I'll
okay.
be happy if John gives me.
Will
say,
do.
lead,
Yeah.
and also
I'll email you.
everything is good.
Sure,
John, I'm not trying to be silly. I'm just trying to be smart with this.
Anyone with
so am I.
regard-
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone
I
with
agree.
regard to the public service. act,
Absolutely,
also I'll be
absolutely.
happy.
Very good.
And I'll take the lead on it.
We'll be in touch,
How's that, man?
yeah.
Save us the $2.5 million, I take you out for dinner.
Save it. It's also part of 1/10 of 1,000 of 1%.
All right,
Hey,
continuing on. with the-
we got you already for $10, right?
Yeah, I know.
All right,
That's-
moving on.
Continuing with the status report, item 6, the Bergen County Division of Community.
Tennis court question, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Very briefly. The mayor said we're ready to flood it, and that Zaccaro is done. I get all that. Is the contractor that's supposed to put down the final surface, are they ready at a phone call's notice? Or is there a delay with that?
Well, the ball's in our court. We have to determine if we're satisfied with the leveling. If we're satisfied with the leveling, then a call will be made to them to put it on their calendar to get it.
So can we flood it by next week?
Wednesday, we have a plan.
We've had two meetings with the contractor on site since this has been, since this became to the surface.
'Cause, if we get it done, the schools could do a fall tennis program. If we don't, then they can't, you know?
Daniel, you know what I'm worried about? All this time has gone by. It's wrong the way it was left. We cannot afford to okay it and then for it to come back on us. So I think we're one step away from concluding this, because we didn't rush, we put the onus back on the contractor, give us a surface-free water, a surface with no water on it, less 1%. You can't be perfect. 1%, is that fair, John?
That's fair.
That's fair. So,
I'd
that's,
like it done before the library, personally. Just saying.
well, you know, yeah, I do, you know, Daniel, there is a Santa Claus too, really, you know?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. Continuing on with the status report. Number 6 was the BCUA project. We're awaiting striping and punch list items to be resolved. So that's almost done. Number 7, the New Jersey DOT traffic signal at Route 4 and Mola Boulevard and Elizabeth Avenue. We have not received a bid date from the state on that job.
Where's that, the
That's
corner
their
of
job.
Mola and what?
Mola, at the intersections of Elizabeth, Route 4 and Mola, and Route 4 and Elizabeth. Those two intersections, at 54th Street.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so, number 8 is the improvements to Mola Boulevard, Phase 3. We're awaiting PSE&G to complete their work before, we can begin work on Mola Boulevard. PSE&G's got to get out of there.
Okay.
That's Phase 3. Improvements to Mola Boulevard, Phase 4. We have requested New Jersey DOT approval to proceed with that job. The Slaughter Dam Road Pumping Station, again, that's awaiting direction from the borough. Number 11 is the Cherry Hill ADA Playground Parking Lot. Bid quantities have been generated to allow state contract bids to be received. Project is pending award. Number 12, the River Drive Dog Park. Construction and planning is halted because of the widening of the Garden State Parkway project. Number 13, the Veteran Memorial Park at Van Riper and Mola Boulevard. We're preparing conceptual plans for Veterans Park, including a Soldiers Monument. Additional meetings have taken place, and further adjustments to the plans and specs are being made by Alamo. Number 14, the 219 road program is essentially completed. We're waiting some punch list and striping items to be resolved. D&L Paving is the contractor on that project. The Tooele Water Main Road improvements, as Michael said before, they have received material for that job, I believe, yesterday or today, and they're going to be commencing putting in the water mains very soon. Municipal Marina Park improvements, we are applying for additional grants to see what we can do to augment the $750,000 for this project. Number 17, the 2019 CDB project improvements at Donner Echo. We expect to bid that job on July 24th with a bid opening on August 11th as requested by the borough.
Could you explain that, what's going to be done?
That's a mill and pave job, basically, with some ADA ramp improvements.
Thank you.
Number 18, the 2019 New Jersey DOT Municipal Aid Grant, Mola Boulevard Phase 2. Plans are being prepared for improvements from Mola Boulevard to Market Street, to Linden Avenue. Number 20.
John, on that point, and I know Ali is more aware of this, but when you speak to Ali, and he'll know what we're talking about, we need that grant rescoped by the DOT. And we need them to approve a rescope of that project. He'll know what I'm talking about. Just impress that upon him when you speak to him.
Rescope it, yes?
Yeah, for our lighting streetscape project.
Okay, lighting. All right, number 19. The 2020 New Jersey DOT Municipal Aid Grant, various streets. This is Gilbert Avenue, which we're completing preparation of construction bid documents, and that will also be bid out on July 24th for a bid opening on August 11th as well, as per request. Borough-wide drainage improvements, construction cost estimates of the existing known drain problems has been submitted to the town, and additional drainage locations have been examined. The New Jersey DEP, SPP, and SWMP updates. Alamo will assist in preparing updates to Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan and the Stormwater Management Plan at no cost to the town.
That's music to our ears.
To your ears, along with the $2.5 million. Okay. Let's see, finally, then we're getting down to the end here. 22, the Borough Police Station Edition. All right, we're preparing a scope of work to make improvements to a floor space in the Chase Bank building to accommodate the police department offices. Existing plans have been submitted to the police department for layout changes. No change in the last report.
Yes.
And number 23, PSE&G coordination of gas main replacements in the borough. Work is stalled due to the inability of PSE&G workers to enter homes, which is required for remaining gas main hookups. Well, that's where that stands.
I wonder
and that
why.
is the end of the report. I guess it's due to the virus. People are reluctant to let people
Well,
in there.
John, I just have
beyond the
one
COVID.
item to
We need
follow
the
up with
apartments.
Alimo on. For our former project with Birchwood Park with Green Acres,
Yeah.
I submitted and completed to Cecile the items she needed from finance and the pictures for the benches, but I forwarded on that she's still waiting on 2 items to close out that project.
Who's that, please? Who's waiting?
Cecile Murphy from Green Acres, and this is in regards to Birchwood. They need the amended preliminary assessment report and then the amended as-built plan, and those both need to include the benches. So those are the only 2 outstanding items, and then they could close that out. So that would be
Preliminary assessment report and?
the as-built plan.
Okay.
And then, but they're amended, so they need to include
Okay, no
the
problem.
benches.
No problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And John, I just, Just real quick, I want to thank you guys for moving up the two paving bids so we could approve them at our regular meeting instead of having a special meeting.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, have a good evening, folks. Okay,
Thank you,
good night.
John.
Thank you, John.
Would the bailiff please allow John to leave?
Say what?
Remember, you were over in the box over there?
Pick up anything, buy avocado? I released it.
Take care, John.
Mayor, I just wanted to bring attention to the mayor and the council with regards to, just reminding you, with the project that the widening of the Garden State Parkway.
Yes.
There was an agreement that the Jersey.
Sal, I can't hear anything you're saying.
He wants to, Mr. Fasola would like to hear you.
There was an agreement that requires to be signed by the borough or yourself with the approval of the council, because the widening is going to require a moving of certain fire hydrants and so forth. They want permission to do so, and they want a signed agreement that we're allowing, the borough will allow them to do so at their expense. Now, before you could sign it, you would need the approval of the mayor and council. So therefore, most probably by next meeting.
Where is this, Sal? Where's this?
It's right on River Road by where the dog park is going to be, Martha area.
So the Parkway wants to extend there?
Frederick, yeah, in the Frederick,
They're doing some road widening stuff on
yeah. They're
Of River
widening-
Drive?
No.
Yeah, part of it's River Drive.
Part of it is River Drive, but they're also widening the bridge.
The bridge, so they'd have to go
Yeah,
build abutments, additional abutments,
Exactly.
steel, and the whole nine yards.
exactly.
Now, is the state in charge of the
Yes.
other bridge that we so love crossing the Passaic River?
No.
No? Because I
That's
was going
Bergen.
to say,
That's
you know, maybe we could tell.
That's Bergen. That's
You
Bergen.
know.
That's Bergen. You know, but in any
Quid pro
event,
quo.
so
right?
we would have, I don't know whether you have those?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
have it,
not a
and I
problem.
could do the resolution because I have similar ones for grant agreements.
There you go.
and
That's-
so on.
that's what it's
So
similar.
I can handle it.
Fantastic. I just want to make sure it's done. That's
So Sal, we're going
all right. Thank you.
Another star on my
Oh,
note.
absolutely.
to, so to your point, we're going to have to sign the document very soon.
Oh, you have to. You have no choice.
Okay.
The-
Can't wait for it.
That's one you can't win.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Moving along.
Yes, 1 second. So do we have the attorney here? Do you want to bring it quick, exec, and then come back, or do you want her to wait?
Oh, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause so we'll have to have the public kind of.
Yeah, whatever we have to do. Yeah.
Okay, just so that the public knows, the mayor and council does need to break for a short executive session, being that we have an attorney here with us this evening. What we can do is, Mayor, do you want them to stay on the line and we go in the back room, or have them call back in a few minutes? Call back in. Okay, so what the public will have to do is, we will break for about, Mary, how long do you need? So we will break for about a half an hour or so. So right now it's 7:48. We will not begin again until 8:20. And if we need more time, we'll come back on the line. So right now, if the public could call back in for 8:20 so that we could have this executive session, as long as we have a motion to do so.
All in favor?
You want to put Francesco on speaker?
Um,
Cell phone?
Yes, on someone's phone. All right. Thank you, everyone. Again, 8:20, you can call back in. Same number.
Is Francesco still on there?
No, someone will have to call him on speaker. It's off.
Running in the back?
Oh, wait, but... Can you just click the left mouse button? Because it's right on...
Left?
Yeah, on the pause, right there.
Mike. Sorry. Mike, if we're going in the back, the ear's not on.
We're staying here.
We're going to stay here?
Just right there, Sal, yeah.
I thought we decided to go in the back.
Perfect.
Okay.
Was it on?
No. Okay, thank you, everyone. are going to reconvene the meeting, if we have a motion to do so, and then I will reestablish a quorum.
Motion to reconvene.
So moved.
All in favor?
Okay, we are now back and open to the public. At this time, I'm going to mute the public's lines, and Councilman Pasola will need to unmute himself.
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Okay, on roll call, council members Fasolo.
Here.
Golubek. Here. Ingui. Here. Pellegrin.
Here.
Wexler is now absent. Council President Balistrary.
Here.
Mayor Coletti.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you.
Okay, again, thank you everyone for your patience. Moving on to item number 2, correspondence. We have a thank you letter from the Ingui family to the mayor and council that I wanted to share with everyone. And then also under correspondence 2, we have a resignation letter from our planning and zoning board stenographer, Mr. Natal.
I just have a quick comment on this, and I'm not 1,000% sure in what I'm saying. Maybe the borough attorney can correct me. I believe both boards can use our technology, record the meetings, and if transcripts are required, can go back and do that, or they can send out the video to someone to transcribe, as opposed to paying someone to physically sit here and punch away at the keyboard.
To answer your question, yes, but I don't think that the system that you have here is equipped when you have multiple people talking that will pick up and will start becoming unaudible, so they have to transcribe. But on the alternative or pending something that you could muster up, you can have them utilize that system.
You know,
It just makes it difficult because the system, see, it's not like the court system. Most of the time when you have a stenographic document, everyone is picked up. Like in a court system.
Separate tracks?
In the court, there are separate tracks. The court system has about 12 tracks.
So you can isolate them,
Even if
bring them
two
up, down.
people talk at the same time like we're doing right now, it'll pick up both. And a transcriber can transcribe both.
right.
That's the only problem.
But I guess my only point is that if this can be accomplished by technology
It could.
and not paying $400
But the
for
cost
an hour
the
of someone's work.
technology is pretty expensive, but you can look into it.
So,
Prior to Mr. Natal resigning, I did, at the request of the mayor and council, poll other towns. And actually, the 3 that did answer, separate from Garfield, because I know that firsthand, the 3 that did answer do not use stenographers. Garfield does, cheaper, $275 an hour, but we also don't have a secretary in Garfield, where you have a secretary here.
so to your point, what's your suggestion? Please, speak up.
Well, you could do, I would say either or. If you don't have a stenographer, you have a secretary that could take minutes and produce, basic minutes. And then at the request, if a resident wants something transcribed, you could send it out using the audio. And we have done that in Garfield. And actually in Garfield, if the resident is requesting it, you charge the resident for that fee.
Thank you for that.
Mayor, my only point is that, I've been at planning board meetings that are 4 minutes long because we just pass resolutions. And to pay $350 or whatever the number is for that roll call to be transcribed is pouring money down the toilet.
I hear you, Daniel. Now, here's my question, and I had brought this up earlier with Mike. Sal, we need to know, since these towns are not using the stenographer, we need to know, is there any cases that have been lost because there was not an accurate record being kept based on this new scenario of just doing it
I
by,
can tell you right now that, from my own experience, that any type of case that is heard on a planning board, a zoning board level, the transcripts are very important because that's what the appellate court or the court, when the matter is appealed to the court uses those transcripts
Right.
to determine what actually happened.
Right.
A failure to get a good audible and understanding concept of what occurred, they're going to reverse.
Okay, let me ask you this now. When we have a public meeting, that's gospel. The recording is gospel, correct?
Is as gospel as you can get a transcript.
Okay, so why don't we just simply record all the meetings? And that's the end of it.
That's my suggestion.
You can, like I said, you can record the meetings and then you can have a transcription done,
If need be.
if need be.
99% of the time, it's not controversial.
Yeah.
That's my only point in this whole thing. And if they take care to not speak over one another, conscious of that, I mean, we're talking probably $7, $8, $9 grand a year that we could save
Yeah.
by having someone.
Now, also, you have to understand that any time there's a meeting both on the planning and the zoning board, that the individual would have to be sworn in who's testifying, and usually that's done by the stenographer. So that means that someone on the dais is going to have to swear.
The attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it functions.
My point
Everyone
is,
used their microphones too.
Yeah.
I would suggest a conversation with the planning board and zoning board chairman. I think Mr. Freitag, and he's probably listening, I think we've like mentioned this in the past. I would hope that they would be open to this because we're saving money. And we pay secretaries to write effective minutes. So they should be able to write effective minutes based on being at the meeting.
And they should also be able to
Sorry.
keep the meeting in line to make sure that one isn't
Right.
over another one.
Yeah, like we do. So,
Keeping you in line, like you just said.
Just for the sake it's been, even in the Superior Court, now they're gone into the automated aspect of it. They no longer really carry the stenographer.
At the OAL too, all the trials I've been there, the judge presses record, you record, they send out the transcripts. We get
that's it.
I think.
And we have the visual also.
But I think your municipal court.
But here we
We
would.
do here.
What I'm saying,
Yeah, yeah.
that's even better. Because if you do lose something, you. Yeah,
Trying to save money.
Relapse, exactly. You reading my mind again, Michael. Okay, moving along. Any more discussion on this? All right, so that's going to be our recommendation,
Okay.
okay? And I'm sure Mr. Freitag, he might weigh in down the road here. It'd be interesting to see his opinion.
Okay, moving on to item number 3, resolutions. 3A is the Green Acres Marina Project Agreement Authorization. This is required and requested from Cecile Murphy of the Green Acres Program to get things rolling with that grant and authorizing the funds to be received by the borough, which needs to be signed by both the mayor and myself. So we'll have that resolution on for the next meeting. 3B is a redeemed third-party tax lien submitted by the tax department. Any questions? 3C are 2 requests from the tax department for to refund stop payment fees. Any questions there? 3D is retirement compensation from the police department for John Harris.
When's he going?
November 1st, I believe.
Excellent, excellent man. Good to miss you, John.
Okay, 3E is something that I happened to see on an agenda for another meeting that I was participating in. And there's also an attached local finance notice to it. The state increased those communities that have a QPA, qualified purchasing agent, their bid threshold from 40,000 to 44,000. Some communities, based on their ordinance, need to adopt a supporting resolution authorizing that, and some don't. So, I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar because we do have a QPA, Mr. Rigatano, and right now his bid threshold is 40,000, which it would now be increased to 44 during this state of emergency until it's lifted.
So that's your recommendation that we move forth. And how about yours, Sal? It's automatic.
In some municipalities have to adopt a resolution, so if you could look into whether we do or not.
This municipality
Just do it.
That's coming down from Trenton?
Yes.
So it's got,
Mhm. I think it's just safer to do a resolution.
I would do it.
Yeah, we
just
should.
For the sake of having it, and it doesn't hurt.
no.
Perfect.
Right? And what you have is at times, by contract, because of change in value of monetary value, they increase the amounts of the threshold. So it makes it easier.
Okay.
to work on.
Okay.
Okay, so that will be on 3FR 3, vacation buyback requests. In your packets, you had the amount for one, and then the other two were pending, because it wasn't received prior to the packets being sent out. So I do have those numbers for you if you want me to share. Okay, so, the DPW employee would be $1,865.38. You see our police department employee, and then the recreation department employee would be $1,629.61. And the second rec employee has not been here for 5 years, so they are not eligible to receive that benefit.
Just so I'm clear, the council asked for numbers and they haven't been provided.
One hasn't been provided.
Two,
Okay.
two weren't provided, no.
Two.
But I received them
And that was
for
made-
tonight.
That was made clear to the department heads.
Right.
By me, so it's on them now.
That's
We have one that's in violation of that?
They provided it to,
just, it's simple.
Two. Okay.
Okay, 3G is the fiscal year 2021 municipal aid grant application. So that's the grant application for, with the NJDOT that we apply for. So this is just the authorizing to submit that application, which is due in the beginning of August. So I'll actually need to send 3 copies immediately following our meeting so that we're in compliance with the grant application. Any comments there? Okay, 3H is a block party request.
As long as the mayor and council invited.
Of course, I'll relay that message to Mr. and Mrs. Shama for you, Mayor.
Right? Yes, yes, you tell Georgie,
I will.
that came straight from my mouth.
From Mr. Shama.
You're gonna go and then you don't go about, Mayor, come on.
You mean that it
Are we-
came and went already?
It did.
Are we still doing block parties after what happened on Veterans Place? We need to talk about that.
Francesca, next year, I go.
I hung out with your son.
I come
there.
with you.
All right, I'll hold you up on that.
All right.
Okay,
good
3I are, I believe, 2 handicap parking spot requests that were approved by our traffic division. So those will also be put on resolution. Also, I will add a 3J. We did have our bid opening on Wednesday of this week for our recycling contract. We received one bid, which was with Gata Recycling, our current provider. It is quite a bit higher than what we currently pay. However, it cannot be rejected. They are a responsible bidder. We have money in our budget for this service, so it would need to be approved, by law at the next meeting, whether we wanted to or not. But
Do you know how
it's-
much it was over?
I wasn't at our QPI does the bid opening. I want to say, I think he said 70,000, but I think that was over the course of the term. Yeah. So not each year, but over the course.
I reviewed the bid for the sake of so I reviewed the bid so as to qualify for all the legal requirements. It did, with the exception of the certificate which was provided.
Yes, I received it from
Aaron
Gata.
sent that to me, that clears my end of it. However, when I sat down and I looked at the amount of money involved, and I saw that it was a tremendous amount of increase. They're the only bidder. I sat with Francine and the
Mm-hmm.
finance office to go over what was last year compared to, because at times, I like to do that because I catch things. So when I did that, I noticed that there is a 3-year bid, make out much better for the 3-year term you awarded, because it comes out to approximately like $40,000 more a year versus if you just do the 1 year, which is almost 70.
What do you credit the no competition to? Was it that the,
Well, right now, the way everything is, it's a thought process. Because of COVID and all the stuff, no one, they can't get rid of the stuff. There's no dumping, so they're having a very difficult time. And knowing where to put it and store it, or potentially, or whatever, that's where the problem is. No one is really, and I think other municipalities are having the same problems with recycling. Because it just, they're not even getting, some municipalities are not even getting bid. So that means that they have to throw it into the regular garbage contract, which is gonna cost them a hell of a lot.
I'm just curious, when they say significant amount higher, like what kind of number was it at last?
I think it was about $70,000 over the course, but I'm not 100%
So
sure.
we're saying like now, compared to now?
From there.
From now, yes. Yeah, because they're a current provider.
No, but I mean before that is what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that you said it's a lot higher from the bid from before.
Yeah, the bidding last year, let's say, the first year,
In 2017, it was done. I don't know the pricing.
$140,000, I remember offhand. This year, their first year would be $210,000. So you have the difference
Right.
of that $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 already in the first year.
So it's per year.
Yeah, they broke it down into a 3-year term. Two,
Yeah, I
like,
thought it was over the course of
10
3, but he's
first
saying
year,
it's 70 per year.
4 something the second year, 600 and something the third year. But if you take and you divide the amount of 600 per year, or whatever that last number was, for the 3 years, you make that a lot better.
you're saying it's, by taking the 3-year deal, we're saving 20, 30,000 a year?
Probably.
Well, I thought you were saying 70,000 for 3 years.
That's
the
what I
additional.
thought.
But you have to look at.
The additional.
Look at
You
the
thought it
bid.
was 70
You have
for
to
the 3
look-
years.
You can have Roy give it to you.
You're saying,
But I can put the numbers together for you, and you can see
I'm
the
just
difference.
curious.
yeah, we got time on this?
But, well, you can.
We need to award it at next week's meeting, but I could get the exact differences. I have the current contract, which was a 3-year contract as well. It was advertised, it was awarded, it ended this year in 2020. It was 3 years, I believe. So I'll send that comparison,
Right.
and I'll have Roy, review it, certify it, and I'll send it out to
We
everyone.
know the number, so we
Yep.
should be aware of
If you
it.
really want to play, in a sense, you can award it 1 year, or.
No,
you can
not
award
for
it
that
2 years.
reason, but I think we
the
should just
thing
know
is,
what the
you
numbers
can-
are if we're ever asked.
Depending on what happens next year, it could even be more, or it could be less, depending on.
So
what
Gata is pretty good.
But
and
he's good.
They're very responsive, and, I mean, I have the supervisor and the manager's cell phone numbers, and they answer like that. When there's a complaint, they have cameras on their trucks. If a resident makes a claim, they review the tape, and they call me back immediately with the disposition, so I can say, I believe they're a very good company.
Okay.
Especially from a management standpoint.
Okay, this is what we're confronted with, council. We're going to get the true numbers, and the way that it sounds, if we take the 3-year deal, it's going to be much more beneficial to the town. However, time seems to be of the essence here. How do we get this done and have the council weigh in on it to make that decision before next week?
No, I don't think that, my question is, I just want to know the number, so if we're ever asked, we want to, so we can say,
Right.
okay, we know. I don't want to be naive to like, well, I think it's this or.
You want to take the
but-
3-year deal or the 1-year
No,
deal?
I'm fine with that.
Which one?
3-year, I'm fine with that.
I could
That's
send,
what-
I could
that's what the
compile
question is.
the comparison from their bid from, from 2017 to now, all, proposals, their 1-year, their 3-year, their 5-year, and I'll send it out tomorrow, and you guys can email me separately, your thoughts, if you have any
Mayor,
concerns.
we're
Okay,
just
this way
trying
everybody
to
have the
find out the
numbers.
correct information, so we know what we're voting
I'm
on,
not saying we're against.
you know.
Right. My angle was, we got a week to do this.
Right.
Okay, now our back's against the wall, which I hate to be in that position.
No.
So once the numbers do come, do we want to go for 3 years or 1 year? That's the only question
Right.
that I'm presenting now.
Right. Well, Erin will send us the information, I'm sure, tomorrow, and then we'll look at it and we'll get back to her immediately.
Very good. At least we understand where we got to go with
Yeah.
this.
The present contract was extended to the end of this month,
Yeah,
so
but our meeting is next
Yeah.
week, so.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But
Okay.
I also, just for the sake of the council, I understand, looking at the figures with Francine at that, yes, when I did all this, the money is already there, so it's not
In the budget,
covered.
yeah, but, yes, okay, I got you.
did a great thing
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
prepping it for that.
Okay, and then also in addition, I discussed with the chief and mayor before the meeting, so technically another resolution. I know the chief had forwarded it to everyone. It was received past the meeting deadline, but, the mayor was inclined to add it on tonight, just because we are limited to our meetings this month. It was the second quarter 2020 fire department stipend. So he had sent that to everyone, so as long as you're all okay, I'll add that. Yes,
Just to clarify,
You're
I got you.
chief administrator,
Mm-hmm.
chief administrator, like you're above administrator, you know what I'm saying?
So that will be on for next week as well. Okay, moving on to ordinances. We spoke about a few items earlier during the engineer's report, one of which was the marina project. So there is no backup, but I do have on here a bond ordinance for the marina project because there is documentation that we need to sign, which is one of the resolutions, 3A, for our Green Acres Marina project, and, we need to prove that the funds are there. And we're also applying for the Bergen County open space with the marina project. So I know we were kind of putting this off because of the large sum, but, now we've come to the time where we need to make a decision on the funding.
And by no means are we committing, we're just appropriating the dollars, which we can later on determine whether we want to go through with it or not. Just so everybody understands that, all right? We're putting ourselves in the position. Hopefully, we'll get the nice other grant, and it'll take the harsh part of the decision away.
So just for the public, whatever bond amount the CFO and our bond counsel recommends, just because you bond for that amount doesn't necessarily mean you are spending that amount. And as the mayor just said, we've already received one grant and we're applying for additional funding. So I have, you're okay to move forward with that with bond counsel and
Counsel?
CFO?
Everybody's on board?
Okay. Okay, and for B, I will turn over to Councilman Golubek. It was requested that I put on our prohibited noises ordinance, and with that being said,
Thank you. So essentially, our prohibited noises, and specifically when construction can occur in the borough of Elmwood Park. As it reads today, I believe it's 7 a.m. to sunset. I personally have, number one, the issue that we do not define an end time to when construction is allowed, which could be anywhere from 5 p.m. in the winter to, on a day like today, 8:45, inclusive of Saturdays. I am also of the personal opinion that 7 a.m. is early and not reasonable for all people to have to wake up to someone who chooses to drill their sidewalk at 7 a.m. That's my personal opinion. I think one way or another, the council has to address the ending hours with specificity. I think there's another component to it that actually just came up. Someone posted on social media that someone was, free to construct and build on 4th of July, which is a federal holiday. I think we may want to consider federal holidays as part of this. So I bring it forward just for the fact that I think it needs to be tightened up. I think we need to have specific hours and consider whether residential construction should be permitted on federal holidays.
Absolutely.
So from a police standpoint, I agree with the councilman that we need an end time, not just when the sun goes up or down. I think that's important. I think that's ambiguous, and I think it creates issues. And I would be comfortable with 7 PM if that's something that, from a law enforcement perspective.
Anyone want, Denise, you want to weigh in?
No, I agree with the councilman as well. I think we definitely need to have an end time. I did see a lot of people doing construction on July 4th and thought that that was wrong. It didn't affect me in any way, but I'm sure it affected their neighbors. And I also think that 7 a.m. may be a little early on the start. So I think we should reconsider all things.
Okay.
If I may, Mayor, in a lot of other municipalities, there is a fixed time period. At times is no earlier than 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, and it ends at 6. Some have it 6, some have it 8 o'clock.
9 o'clock, what's that, Ridgewood?
I'm just trying to throw it out
I
there.
think the problem you're gonna have is.
And also on Saturdays, they cut it down from 9 to 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
So during the week, we have a lot of road construction. I don't think it's feasible to tell a road crew that they can't start before 9 AM.
Yeah, you have
And
chaos.
especially with the heat, I mean, if you want to do it seasonally, maybe that's something, but maybe 8 AM, from September to April, and then from May to September, you drop it down to 7 AM. You have to consider the work crews and the heat.
Can I make a suggestion? Could the ordinance committee meet, maybe with the mayor and the chief, and get some ideas together and bring it back to the council then? Because from, the perspective of the officers, we need your input. Want the mayor's, and we could,
Well,
ordinance
if
committee
you think
should
that's necessary, but I think we can do it right here tonight, another 5 minutes conversation. Let me just add my feelings on this as a former contractor. The heat in the summer, like a day like today, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, it's terrible. And for a man working all day long, he needs to get out of that heat. So what we used to do is we used to actually start earlier in the morning, just to preserve that person and also get your job done. To Mike's point, there's no way you're going to tell a road crew that they can't start. I mean, you'd have havoc. Their materials are there on the job. All right, if they had previous notice, they wouldn't be there. But still, I think 7:30 is a compromise. I think 7 o'clock at night during the week, and then we could talk a little about the weekends, 8 o'clock on Saturday to 2 o'clock on Sunday, for homeowners, 8 to 2, with no contractors allowed to work on a Sunday. That would.
My whole point with this is that there's different aspects to construction. There's high rises that are going to be built. There's road paving jobs. And then there's someone replacing their sidewalk where they choose to use a jackhammer at 7 a.m. when there's absolutely no reason for it. And I'm trying to clarify those things that we can do without. Because sometimes personal experiences, bring things to light. Like I was, as a resident, subjected to someone choosing to jackhammer a sidewalk at 7 a.m. for 5 days straight. That's, to me, absolutely unreasonable. And if we can, shape this ordinance to take care of those kind of quality of life issues, that's where I'm gearing at it. I don't think it's unreasonable for people to have peace and quiet, just like people want peace and quiet after 7 p.m. because people work all day. There's the other half of people who I think it's unreasonable to subject them to any kind of construction noise that could be delayed before 8 a.m. That's my opinion.
So we got 8 o'clock and we got 7:30 and we got 7 o'clock. We compromise at 7:30? Does that work?
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I think I understand what Dan is saying. The 7 o'clock to end, I think that's good. But the only thing is what the chief had said, and I'm saying by experience, in the summer, it is very hot. And I know when I had my roof done, they were on that roof by 7 a.m. and they were gone by like 12:30, 1 o'clock, because the heat is just so bad. So that's the only thing I see, like in the summertime. So, but I don't know if you want to look at doing something for certain months, like you had said, because I experienced it, and I said, I felt,
May throw August, that's when you have the.
Right, exactly, because this was done in the summer, and then leave it at 8 for the other.
Seasonally, May
Then,
through August,
and then move it,
hot months,
and,
we go
right,
out 7 a.m.
and then,
Maybe, come September
like 8
through
o'clock.
April, you bump it to
Because
6:30 or
it, it is, they do want to start early and get done early, because I've seen it myself, and, so that's my opinion, but whatever the majority wants.
So do you want to
I'm
go
fine.
around and first discuss
If I may, I see both sides of this. I think by extending by lowering the time they could start, you're also extending the time they're going to be there. So, especially in the summer. So I agree with the mayor, and I also agree with Councilman Golovic. I think there's a compromise that we could be done. Well, but especially for 4th of July, how we have people working there. That shouldn't be. And on Sundays as well.
Well, holidays and Sundays should only be in emergencies.
So
Yeah,
I was just going
yeah,
to say,
sure.
is everyone in agreement that the ordinance should say no work on federal holidays except for emergencies? Okay.
And those
Yeah.
holidays would be what? The holidays we choose to pick?
Federal holidays.
Federal holidays, and we could list them exactly in the ordinance.
It'd be easier if we listed them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
You can list whatever other holiday you want.
okay. So then, starting time, we want to agree on also?
And so everyone agrees to the 7 p.m. end time, right?
Right?
Okay,
That's-
so
we're
those
on
are
board
two
with that.
pieces.
No holidays.
Now, do we want to do the seasonal, May through August?
Yes.
They could start earlier. Do we want 7 a.m. or 7:30? We'll go around the room.
I'm fine with 7 a.m. seasonal. My dad worked that's when, it gets hot.
So-
Okay?
I'm fine with the May through
7 a.m. she's saying.
May through August?
7.
Sandy?
I feel the same way.
Okay.
Until when?
May through August.
May through August. I'll send you everything,
7
Sal. I'm taking the
7 p.m.
notes.
will be the
I'll
end.
send it to you so that you can
Lorraine?
do the ordinance.
7 a.m.
7 a.m. And Daniel?
I wouldn't go earlier than 7:30, but that's okay.
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 All right. Now,
When you're 50, you'll change.
September,
I'm not 50 then.
Get him a week
A
out
lot
there
of
on the
people
construction
who are
site.
not 50.
all right, so September through April, do we want to do 7:30 or 8? We'll start this way.
I'm 8.
7:30.
7:30.
She just did that so that you get a little
No, no,
extra.
no,
Yeah.
Oh, Francesco, I'm sorry. Were you okay with the
I
May?
almost got the, shucks.
7:30.
Wait, so Francesco, the May through August, did you want 7 a.m. or 7:30?
7 a.m. time, May through August. 7:30 from September to, was it May?
Okay. And what did you say, Ms. Singui?
7:30.
Okay.
And my final point is that I think Saturdays should be treated differently.
I agree.
8 o'clock throughout the whole day.
I agree with that.
I agree too.
Okay, so Saturdays 8 to 2, everyone's good.
I'm in
Beautiful.
agreement. Yep, yep.
Done.
Thank you, Aaron.
Right.
Sunday, nothing on
Sunday's been off limits.
Organizing
Unless
that.
we emergency.
But not for the homeowner.
Right. Sunday's off.
Not for the homeowner.
Which one? You're talking
The
about?
point is, Sundays.
Yeah, no, you're doing something in your own house.
Well, that'd be crazy. To prohibit that.
You can do it, but I think there's an end time on that. I think
8 to 2.
noon.
Right.
Oh, 8 to noon? Okay.
I think that's the way
On
it
that.
is now.
Well, look, if you're getting a permit for something, I don't think you can work on it on Sunday today.
No, I don't think you can.
You're a homeowner, your leader just came down on,
No, but if you get a permit through the building department, I think Sundays are off limits in general.
I think
Haven't
so
they always
too.
been off
I
limits?
think so. I thought
For-
they were.
Usually you get a permit when it's like
I
a
thought a couple
contractor.
years ago, we changed it for Sundays, a homeowner, no contractors, but a homeowner can work on their home between 8 and noon. I thought that's what it was.
All right.
Maybe we could check with Tony.
I'd like to,
What about lawn cutting and stuff?
That doesn't-
you know,
Construction, the word is construction. The word is construction.
Okay.
I would consider the homeowner on a Sunday, the fella, the wife, they work all week, they need that Sunday.
But I think it's currently off limits. I mean, people call it in, work on Sundays, and I think the police tells them you can't.
my understanding.
Well, whatever, I think, whatever we do now,
Yeah.
we should clarify that right now. So whatever you guys agree on, let's put it in.
So are Sundays no or yes?
So
8 to 12?
I think that Dan is correct. I think that on Sundays, if you get a permit, you are not able to work, even if you're the homeowner. Like that was always off limits. From what I understood, I remember doing construction myself on my home, and Sundays were off limits. Period.
So how would you word it? No permitted construction on Sundays?
No construction on Sundays.
No construction at all?
But I have a question. So if somebody's handy and they want to fix a piece of their sidewalk, a homeowner, they can't do that on a Sunday at all? Maybe that's the only day of the
Lorraine,
week they have off.
Can I give you an example though? Why would that be okay then if your neighbor who's not handy cannot have their construction person come and work, but just because you happen to, you know what I'm saying? You're setting like a
I
not
guess.
fair situation, right? I understand what you're saying. It's your own home. You could do your own thing. But why is the noise okay on Sunday if it's your own person, but not okay if it's a construction person?
I get what you're saying.
You know
So
what I'm
you're saying it's
so
either
more
or.
of a, I think it was more always that it was more of the day of rest, right? Like Sunday was the day of rest. So that was where the whole quiet came in and things like that.
Well,
So
we're gonna make it ambiguous, and the officer's gonna get called there from a neighbor, and the neighbor's gonna, and the resident's gonna say,
You're either
well,
gonna allow it or don't.
I didn't need
Yeah.
a permit for this, so I could do it.
Either allow it or don't.
That's not their expertise. Well, does this something need a permit for? Do I gotta call the building inspector at home and find out if he needed a permit?
I
to
see
do
what you're
it?
saying.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Let me
The
see.
guys have got a million other things going on.
yeah.
So what are you saying, Mike? What's your point?
My point is, it's black or white, like.
So what's your
So
suggestion?
I don't have one, I'm just
Oh.
saying, you're the expert with this, right? Police officer gets called to your home, and you're doing something in your yard that you say doesn't need a permit. Now, we're saying you can't do construction on Sunday that requires a permit. The officers, some of these guys, they don't know that. Well, how are they gonna figure that out? How do we determine that in the moment? Is he telling the truth? Do I have to call a construction official on a Sunday to figure this out? Like, how do we streamline that?
So here's the wording here's the exact wording of what I brought up here. The prohibited noises, the erection, including excavation, demolition, alteration, or repair of any building in a residential district other than between 7 a.m. and sunset on weekdays. So technically the ordinance doesn't even allow Saturdays at this point, based on what it says, except in the case of urgent necessity. Listen, to me, contractors mean bigger job and means noise to a certain
No,
extent.
but here's what you're gonna deal with, I'm just telling you, because I've dealt with it. You go to the house, and, oh, you can't, he's not a contractor, that's my brother-in-law. He's not a contractor, you gotta make it simple.
So if you need a permit from the borough to do whatever you're doing, Sunday's off limits.
How does the officer determine that on a Sunday afternoon at 11
They
a.m.?
have a permit or not in the window, right?
What if they just didn't get one and they're doing illegal work?
Well, that's
If the officer doesn't know,
that's a whole different
that's a
thing.
permitted requirement.
So, in that event, if they're lying to him, then I guess they would trust their word that they have a permit, and it would be dealt with the day after for that part.
You can't shut down a resident on a Sunday who works all week and tell them they can't go hammer their fence or do a repair on the house. You cannot do that. So we might, to Denise's point, we might have to overlook the fact that what's good for the goose is good for the gander here, and let the ordinance read that any construction could be done from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock on a Sunday, even though it's a contractor. To your point, how do we differentiate? But you can't, I know this, the base of this ordinance should not prohibit a residential homeowner from working on their house after all week, 6 days a week, they're working. Now it's time to go do a repair, and I'd be damned if somebody come up to me and say, you got to stop that.
Mayor, that's what I said
You said it
5
before.
minutes ago.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the
Have you
question,
had any problems as of,
We had a lot.
Yeah.
as far as what?
We had a lot of complaints.
About people doing,
Yeah, yeah.
just residents doing it?
but Denise's point should be well taken. How do we prohibit the contractor and then distinguishing if it's a contractor or not? To Mike's point,
So do you want to go around the room again for the Sunday idea?
I think
I hope we get getting real Sunday stuff.
I think we need a little
Chocolate
more
chip.
digging on what we currently do on Sundays.
Right.
Right.
Like whether we have something in the books, whether the building department has something sketched out. 'Cause all I'm going off of is
is this, but I mean.
Daniel, it's back to your
Yeah.
original point of noise. This should be based on noise. How much noise are we gonna allow and for how many hours on a
I
Sunday?
think Sunday should be very, very limited to a homeowner doing something that's very small. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You don't want contractors in
yeah,
there.
you don't want concrete
You don't want
trucks.
it before 8,
That's the
and
thing,
you don't want it
say
afternoon.
you can't do that, you can't say.
Well, no. I think what I'm saying,
But the
yeah,
resident can
is that
hire
if they're outside, putting on a new roof, then no, they shouldn't be doing that if I can't do that next door with a contractor. But I mean, well, what we're talking about is small projects or things like this. But I think we need to discuss it a little more because I think what Councilman Gollbeck said in the beginning, like there's always another side to this, right? We're all daytime workers. So if it's 7:30, if it's 8 o'clock, whatever, it doesn't really affect us because we're probably up and moving. How about your midnight guys? How about your people who work overnight? They're never going to, I mean, they're going to always be interrupted by noises like construction, birthday drive-bys, this, that, the things that happen during the day. So is this about noise or is this about construction? You know what I'm saying? Like we need to kind of, so if we're going to take, so then we need to. It's true, but I think it should be written about one or the other, not about both, because you're not going to cover both.
Let's get it done tonight.
Yeah.
All right?
But to your point, well, the person that can afford or is able to afford someone in construction to do the work, yes, they can do it on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but the homeowner that is able to do the work, they may not be able to
So
do
listen,
Monday through
there's
Friday.
no
We
rush
can't
to
stop
this. Hold
that.
on. We have everything settled except Sundays.
Sunday,
So let's close the book on every other day of the week and federal holidays, and let's just keep Sundays as something that we have to revisit.
Okay.
And I'll consult with the construction official, and I will report back to the mayor and council through email, and everybody can decide individually, and then we can get this to the attorney, and he can draft the ordinance.
we in agreement?
It's not a rush, it's just something we need to clean up and get ready.
Speaking
All
of
right.
Sundays, I'm just picturing the chocolate,
I know, I'm
vanilla,
hungry now,
whipped
Mayor.
cream.
Okay, last thing is discussion. We have our borough newsletter, which I'm going to turn over to Councilman Golubek as well.
Thank you. I wrote the borough newsletter last year, and I'm willing to do it again this year. So if the council, if that's your pleasure, I'll do that. Just two things. There's a 90-day like political communication rule with like people who are on the ballot. So there's two council members that are on the ballot in November. So this would have to go out in mailboxes by around August 3rd, so we don't run afoul of that. So, I mean, I have ideas based on the stuff we work on. If people have suggestions and thoughts, I mean, I would ask you to let me know, like, by this time next week. And if you can write most of it, that would be great. And put it together, everyone will sign off, everyone will be comfortable with it, and we'll mail it out. I think it's important to do.
We all get to see it before, correct?
Always.
I don't have a problem with that.
Golden rule.
Only the mayor doesn't see it.
Well, I got a problem with that. I got a big problem with that.
This is informational down the middle.
Okay.
I knew that, but sometimes, it's always good to read before you sign. And my wife always tells me that.
Oh, I'm very, meticulous, so I like to review things.
Yeah.
I'm like the grammar police.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to departmental reports, 6A and B are from municipal court for May 2020 and June 2020. Any questions? 6C is our Millennium Strategies memo through June 30th. Our grant writer, and then 6D is our finance department report through the end of June, June 30th, 2020. So basically what the borough has expended thus far. That is all I have, Mayor. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Erin. Ladies and gentlemen, due to the COVID virus, we've asked our council and the mayor to forego our normal reports, just though it eliminates some of the time we're spending together. But is there anything a council lady would like to say, or a councilman?
I would
Yes,
like to
good,
say
yeah.
something.
Yes.
I just want to, we're having our next Board of Health meeting July 20th at 7 p.m., so I just want to let everybody know that. And the Junior Police Academy applications are now available. You can download online at www.elmwoodparkpd.com, or you can contact Detective Randy Gorillo at 201-796-0700, extension 118, to arrange pickup at headquarters. Ages 10 to 13 will run August 10th through August 14th. Ages 14 to 16 will run August 17th to August 21st, and all applications must be in by July 17th. And then if I can, you look at, did I forget something, Chief?
Nope.
Okay.
Doing great.
Okay. So the only other thing I want to say is, I know Mr. Scalzone asked about the food distribution. I have a little more information on that for tomorrow. So tomorrow, July 10th, food distribution for Elmwood Park residents in need will take place at the VFW Post 5084, 6 Veterans Place in Elmwood Park from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. A prepared dinner will be given out to all. For the remainder of July, non-perishable foods will be distributed on Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., same location, VFW. Strangers Helping Strangers is sponsoring the event along with Our Way to Hope, a nonprofit organization. We truly appreciate the generosity of these two organizations. Also, a big thank you to Karen Pena, who serves on our Board of Education, for making this event possible. For further information, please contact Angela Fava, Administrative Assistant, at 201-796-1457, extension 106. And to all the residents that will be viewing this, please don't hesitate to call Mrs. Fava. She has been doing an excellent job with helping our residents, whether it's unemployment information, food distribution, and any other thing you can possibly think of. Angela always finds a way to help by calling our senators, getting resources from them, and she really has been helping a lot of people in need. So we really want to thank her and applaud her for her work. And please, she welcomes calls. That's what she's there to do, is to help people. So please don't hesitate. You might think your question's silly, or it's not. Just always call her, and you will get an answer, and you will get help. So thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Denise?
Thank you, Mayor. I actually just wanted to apologize to the residents for my absence the last two council meetings, and I also wanted to thank the mayor and council, the BA, and Mr. Ingraffia for their, kind words and the flowers and everything that I received. As you all know, my mother-in-law, beautiful woman, died unexpectedly. And shortly after that, my daughter had another very extensive surgery, almost 13 hours and an 8-day hospital stay. She will be going to have another emergency surgery on Monday. I know I haven't been here body-wise, but I have been following. I have been in communication email with all people who I believe have needed me. And I just want to, again, just thank the mayor and council for, the constant support that you give me while my family goes through these trials and tribulations. So thank you.
Well, it's our pleasure to do that. And let's face it, family comes first, everything else after that. So you have our blessing and our backing. Do what you have to do. We know who you are. We know you're coming back. You are back. So take care of what you have to take care of. Sandy?
Yes. Just one thing is, when we talk about the meetings and having the public not here, I commend our BA for really keeping this municipal building free of the COVID, and this is a very important decision. So I hope that we just continue to go month by month, just to watch the progress and watch what's happening with this pandemic, because we never know month by month what could happen. So I appreciate all you've done to keep everyone safe here, and the council, supporting that as well. Progress.
Mr. Fasolo, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I just want to thank Our Way to Hope and Strangers Helping Strangers for putting together the food distribution tomorrow. Chris and Karen, both of them worked very hard to put this together, and to thank them. Also, I just wanted to bring to your attention to the chief and the rest of the council, on the corner by the Route 80 exit ramp and River Drive. The traffic light, I got some complaints from a few people that the light there is too dim when you're on River Road going toward the Twisted Elm. The light there is too dim, and they can't see it when it turns green or when it's red.
You're talking,
Maybe we can contact, I'm not sure if it's a county, light or if it's ours. We could contact somebody to get that fixed.
is this the corner we were on, Mike?
It's the county, but we'll take care of it first thing tomorrow.
Thank you. That's it, progress.
Lorraine, you spoke already. Daniel, you're fine? Okay. I just have one comment I'd like to make. There's a lot of talk out there in the streets about dismantling police departments, cutting police budgets, restructuring our country as we know it. And it took us 244 years to get to represent the greatest civilization that has been on this earth and mankind has ever been part of. So I just want to say one thing regarding this dismantling of the police departments and their budgets and et cetera. We've got to keep one thing in mind. Law and its restrictions is what keeps us free. Mr. Laney.
Okay. If we could have a motion for our second public hearing?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to unmute the public's lines. For anyone wishing to speak, please state your name and address for the record.
All participants are unmuted.
Would anyone from the public like to speak at this time?
Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Hillman Drive. Is there something wrong with Mr. McGraffia's sound?
What happens is sometimes he's got his paperwork in front of him, and it's tough to get over to the mic, and then, unless we bring it to his attention, and it happens to all of us.
Didn't happen to me.
Well, that's because you keep that mic right up on your...
I've been complaining about this, and what really ticks me off is you can't hear anything. You were talking about something of great interest to me because I am the chairman of the planning board. Mr. Natali, when did you get this memo about his resignation? Or this...
Hold on, Mr. Freitag. Let me look at my email.
Thank you.
What's your feelings on that, Jeff?
It was received, I'm sorry.
You really want to know?
Yes, we want to know.
Go ahead.
Take it easy.
Let me find
Jeff,
out.
calm down, Jeff.
On Monday, June 29th, it was forwarded to me.
June the 29th was, and who did it, to whom it was, am I copied?
I received it, it was sent by Mr. Golembiski.
Okay, I'm not copied,
Okay.
but it's from Mr. Natali.
Correct, he sent it to Mr. Golembiski.
And he mentioned both the planning and the zoning.
Correct. Right, both boards he mentioned, Jeff.
Yes.
Well, we knew this was coming, Jeff. He was complaining.
You did? You did? I guess as of June the 29th you did.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
nobody says a word to me, nothing. Thanks a lot. Really, you talk about getting paid. The council gets an increase, everybody gets an increase. I put in for an increase, and I'm not saying he should or shouldn't get it. For Mr. Natali, on January the 9th, I heard about it about 5 months that he wasn't getting it. Fine. Takes 5 months to make a decision. Okay, now June the 29th, you get this, nobody says anything to me, and now this comes. Okay, Mr. Golombek, you made a statement about he stays for 4 minutes. Were you ever on the zoning board?
No, my experience...
I'm asking. Go ahead, through the chair to Mr. Golombek. You made the statement.
You're asking me whether I was ever on the zoning board. An answer...
You made a statement about he stays for 4 minutes.
I made a statement that there are meetings that last 4 minutes and that we pay a fee for the stenographer to come and simply record a roll call vote of resolutions. That was my specific comment. My specific comment was a no. Excuse me, I'm not finished, sir. My comment was not. Please allow me to finish. I'm not interrupting you. My comment was limited to certain experiences where the borough pays this fee for very limited meetings. It was not a comment or a reflection, and I think you know that I am aware that there are meetings where such meetings are extensive and long. And there are also many. Mr. Freitag, I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but you are not being cordial or even allowing me to speak.
Cordial? I'm irate because what's being done, first of all, nobody tells me about it. Nothing. You guys have your phone calls, whatever meetings you have. I can't hear anything. Mr. Graffia, I don't know if he's got a muffler on or what. I can't hear anything.
So
Am I right? Go ahead.
I want to finish my point, and then you can say whatever you want. Again, I was speaking at certain experiences that I have had being on the planning board for however long I have been. Those are my experiences. In no way did I allude to that every single meeting of the zoning and planning board is 4 minutes and requires this kind of fee. If that's what you got out of it, then I'm sorry. I'm totally aware that that's the case. But I think it is a fair point to make that when a certain percentage of meetings are of that nature, that it is an expenditure of any stenographer, whether it's this individual or not, to be discussed by the borough about, and I make different points about costs from every level, whether it's a stenographer or about whether the DPW can handle removing the playground at Rosemont Park to save us $6,000 from the quote. So this is something that I do as an elected official. So that's my only point on that. My other point is, and I can't speak to the chain of command, but I have the email in front of me. The gentleman, Mr. Natali, resigned in a letter, in an email to solely Mr. Golumbisky. I'm sorry that he did not feel the need to include you in the email or chose not to. However, in that email, which you will see, he asked Mr. Golumbisky, I would ask that you forward a copy of this email to Lori Sprovero for the planning board also. So, and I don't know whether that was transmitted, but based on the exchange that the borough got, there could have been an inference that there is a relationship there, that he felt like resigning to solely one chairman and that it would be passed on to the planning board, which was a request of his. So there's a little more context to the situation, and that's all I have to say on this subject.
Jeff, what's your opinion about going without a stenographer?
First of all, I'm sure that Mr. Ingraffia was giving some sort of legal issue, determination about what's needed and what isn't. But I can't hear anything. So, can you tell me what you heard?
Do you want to elaborate? You got to get up on that mic. Bring it right into you.
That would help.
Can you hear me now?
Jeff, could you hear him?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. I missed.
I appreciate that.
Good. I'm sorry. I have to get real close now to the mic. I have the mic almost in my mouth. Okay. I don't know what my voice, or maybe the mic doesn't like my voice or something, Mr. Freitag. But here we go. A discussion was had with regards to Mr. Natali. I said that I was asked the question whether it is really necessary to have a stenographer or not. And my thing is that a stenographer is usually a good thing to have because they provide the stenographic transcript when there is an appeal, and that the courts rely on those transcripts to make a determination whether the particular board decided the issues correctly or not, whether to uphold the decision or to remand the decision or to reverse the decision. Now, it's always been a situation where courts in the past have always all had stenographers, but because of nuances and new technology, a lot of the court systems have moved away from the stenographer aspect, have gone into systems which are technical and very expensive to produce or to install. However, many times you can use a system that we have here technically, and Council Gullback asked whether the system that we have here right now will be able to take care of the necessity or the requirements. And I said under the circumstances it would, but it may have a lot of problem when you have to transcribe it for court. So that's where it's at, really. That was my opinion.
Okay, now, to use this system, is there any training available to anyone? Because now there is no one. And I know Ms. Delaney weighed in on something that's being done in Garfield, and I heard a $275 figure. I don't know what that meant, because again, it's very difficult to hear. What was that figure, about $275 in Garfield?
That is how much our stenographer is paid in Garfield, Mr. Freitag, and I can certainly provide training to your planning board secretary on the system that I use, as well as our court uses, should that be the route the mayor and council wants to go.
Okay, now, as far as, I don't know what they do in Garfield, is it a verbatim transcription?
Correct.
The person does it verbatim. Is it a flat rate of $275?
Correct.
Okay, no matter what time it's spent.
I believe so, yes.
Believe so means you're not sure.
I could actually pull up a poll that was done at the request of the mayor and council that was requested by the planning board secretary today. So apparently she was aware of the resignation as well. But here is the findings of the poll that was sent. Emerson, there are no stenographers. Their board and commission secretaries are paid $150 per meeting. This is not a salary position, as there are times meetings get canceled when there is no business. New Milford, there are no stenographers. The secretaries for zoning and planning are employees, so they receive no additional money. For some of the minor boards, they are paid between $50 and $75 per meeting, dependent on seniority. Township of Washington, the secretaries for zoning and planning are separate salaried employees that are required to put in 20 hours per week. They receive additional monies per meeting, as there are times meetings get canceled when there is no business, as an attendance fee, and for meeting minute preparation at a rate of $200 per meeting. And I just looked, Garfield gets $275 per session. Confirmed.
Okay, and they do transcripts.
They charge for transcripts.
Transcripts are extra, Jeff.
When they are requested by citizens, they are charged, and the citizen is required to pay in Garfield. I cannot speak on the other municipalities.
Okay. Now, I'm at a loss because nothing was sent to me, told to me. I don't know what to say.
Hey, Jeff, I think Daniel kind of cleared that up. It wasn't done intentionally. It was just that the information was slow coming to us to this point. You know now, so let's deal with now.
Well, I guess that's why you get the $8,500 and I don't get anything. Okay?
Jeff, come on. Is that what this is about? Is that the your objective here? You're mentioning people's...
That's the way this whole thing was done. When this was brought up to you, I couldn't hear what's going on. I find out that other people knew. I didn't know. Nobody says anything.
Well, you know now, so...
That's the way to do business.
No, exactly. Listen, we're not perfect here. We're under a pandemic here. Things have changed drastically. We're working in arduous conditions, and, give us a little slack here. It's not something, things are changing every day coming down from the governor. Open up. Don't open up. Wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. But now you know.
Tonight?
I'm sorry?
Huh?
I'm sorry?
You have mass tonight?
No, I don't.
Required, Mr. Freitag.
We're not.
It's not required. Read the order.
It's a public building that's not open to the public. It does not require the
Well,
occupants
you
to
might
wear a mask.
laugh.
Read the order.
I don't know what to say.
You don't know how to read then, I guess.
What's that?
Read the order. Closed. The occupants do not have to wear a mask.
Jeff, is there anything else?
Distance.
Yeah, you got a social distance. Of course.
This is going nowhere. Let me know what you want to do, and then when we have our meeting, you can come and train me. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else care to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that cares to speak? If not,
All
then,
participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
so we're good? We're good. If there's no one else that cares to speak, then I will close the public session. All in favor?
Aye.
It's closed.
Okay, if we could have a motion to enter into our second executive session, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So be it.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Actually, let me read the statement for, whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231 permits the exclusion of the public from meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the governing body wishes to discuss personnel matters and litigation legal reports, minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved that the public be excluded from this meeting.
May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.